The following day, Elvin left work early, his mind focused on one thing, Raya. He made his way to her apartment, determined to help her with the final preparations for her journey. As Elvin entered her home, Raya looked up in surprise, not expecting him on that day. A wave of happiness washed over her, momentarily lifting the sadness that had settled in her eyes. The room was filled with a mix of emotions, bags partially packed, clothes scattered about, and Raya moving with a sense of urgency. But now, with Elvin there, her heart felt a little lighter, even if just for a moment. Elvin joined her, carefully folding clothes, packing away memories, and offering quiet support. Every now and then, their eyes would meet, and in those brief moments, words were unnecessary. Both knew that this was more than just packing. It was a reluctant goodbye, a step towards a future that would pull them apart for the next 6 months. Meanwhile, Keira was growing increasingly concerned. She had noticed the change in Elvin, his distant replies, his avoidance of her attempts to reach out. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, and her anxiety gnawed at her. She tried calling him several times, but each time Elvin gave a brief response, making excuses about being busy. But Keira wasn't convinced. The next morning, the day of Raya's departure arrived. Elvin woke up with a deep sense of sadness, but knew he had to see this through. He drove to Raya's apartment one last time, steeling himself for what was to come. Together, they loaded her luggage into the car, the weight of each bag matching the heaviness in their hearts. As they drove to the airport, Keira was on edge. She had decided she needed to see Elvin, to confront him about what was going on. She called him again, asking to meet, but Elvin gently declined, saying he had something important to do. Keira insisted, her voice laced with desperation, but Elvin remained firm, promising they would talk later. He couldn't let anything or anyone distract him from being there for Raya in these final moments. At the airport, Elvin stayed by Raya's side, helping her check in and guiding her through the bustling crowd. Every step brought them closer to the inevitable farewell. They reached the departure gate, and the time for goodbyes loomed over them. Raya looked at Elvin, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears.
"Thank you,"
she whispered, her voice heavy with emotion.
"for everything."
Elvin reached out, pulling her into a tight embrace.
"I'll miss you,"
he murmured into her hair, the words thick with the weight of all that was left unsaid. As they parted, Elvin gently kissed Raya on the forehead, a final tender gesture. He promised her that he would always be there for her, no matter the distance, and that this wasn't the end for them, just a pause in their story. Raya gave him a small, bittersweet smile, and with one last lingering look, she turned and walked towards the gate, leaving behind the man who had meant so much to her. Elvin watched as she disappeared into the crowd, a mix of sadness and hope swirling in his chest. He had done the right thing, he told himself. Whatever the future held, he knew they had both given their best, and that was all anyone could ask for. As Elvin left the airport, his phone buzzed. It was Keira again. He sighed, knowing that he couldn't keep avoiding her. But now, as he walked away from one chapter of his life, he felt a sense of clarity. Whatever came next, he would face it head-on, with no regrets. This is where Rhythm of Love ends, but may the rhythm of love continue to beat in your own lives. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Rhythm of Love. As we've followed Elvin and Raya's story, we've seen the power of love, the weight of difficult decisions, and the importance of embracing change, even when it's painful. Their story reminds us that love is not always easy, but it's the moments of struggle and sacrifice that often reveal the true depth of our hearts. As we say goodbye to these characters, let's remember that love, in all its forms, is a journey, one that requires courage, patience, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.